Okay, I think we're recording. I think you guys can see me. Okay, big deep breath. I am finally back to do another YouTube video. Hi you guys, my name's Lynn the Cosplayer from Washington, and today we are going to be doing a new review of a convention. A new review of a convention I've been to many times in the past, and in fact, if you've seen my videos previously, you've probably seen my review of Sakura Con 2022 from last year. So today we are doing my review of Sakura Con 2023 that just happened in April, which was last month. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it is May already. My brain is so out of sorts. I'm trying to get some hydration in because we're hitting the hot weather in Washington. I don't want to be dehydrated this year. I'm really trying to focus on getting as many fluids into my body as possible. So that's why I have my bubbly, and I'm going to set it down because I don't want to accidentally throw it as I'm telling you guys about this year. So you may have seen some of my previous videos. I had a very big start to my year. I moved apartments after living in the same apartment for 10 years, and man oh man, I had no clue it was going to be so physically and mentally exhausting. Now, I don't know about you guys, but like my home is like my little sanctuary. It's where I create, I draw, I paint, I make cosplay, I organize stuff, I come up with ideas for trips. It's my rendezvous point, and having to uplift that and move it somewhere else and get settled in has just taken up like all my time and energy. So the fact that I was even able to go to Sakura Con is kind of like a miracle. So I'm really happy to say that I am settled in at my new apartment, and I'm really happy and I love it so much. Eventually I'm going to be doing like a little room tour where I show you guys how I updated my crafting area and how much better it looks. I have more windows, I can see outside, I get more light. It's just overall really awesome. But today is going to be a video which I promised I would make personally and for you guys, which is my review of Sakura Con 2023. Now, to just start off this video, and I've said this many times before, but if you are new, I am not sponsored, I am not affiliated, I am not a representative of any company, brand, event, or anything. So when I come on here and do reviews, I am saying it from a very honest standpoint, which means yes, some of my reviews will get a little bit spicy and some will be a little bit more blunt and honest, especially if I feel that an event or a product has let me down from what I expected it to be. So today's video, there is a lot of that. I'm just gonna warn you guys. I have been going to Sakura Con since my very first convention, which was back in 2007. So I've been going for what, like 15 or 16 years now. I've been through many Sakura Cons, and I will say that although Sakura Con has always been not as heavily funded, it has always been a very like well-liked, good base convention. It's always been big, there's always been tons of interest in it, and it has a pretty good following. Like most people know what Sakura Con is if you are from anywhere from like the Midwest to the Pacific Northwest, kind of this area of the US. Probably some people from not even in this country know what Sakura Con is, I'm sure as well. However, this year's Sakura Con left kind of a bad taste in my mouth. We are going to go through a lot of details in this video, and I'm going to be very specific based on the fact that I've been to Sakura Con so many times in the past, and I know for a fact many of these things could have been changed, avoided, or prepared much better for the guests that are going. Now, I think about conventions as in investments in my time, investments in my hobbies, investments in new costumes I want to make or things I plan to purchase there. And a lot of times I don't go to conventions because I don't think that I'm investing wisely. I kind of feel like some of them, for the price point, you're not really getting very much out of it. And for some, the travel distance is too far. So even if the convention itself is not as expensive, it's just would cost much too much for me to travel to it for, you know, the 2 days or 3 days that I would be going. So Sakura Con has always been a little bit special to me because it was my first convention, because I have been so many times. I've always been able to rely on it to be really fun and really good. And this year it fell very short. So let's first talk about the three biggest things when it comes to conventions. We're going to talk about badges, we're going to talk about hotels and housing, and then we're going to talk about the main events at the convention. I know that I haven't done reviews of conventions in this way in the past, but I'm changing this because I think it's going to be a little bit more organized this way. So first off, let's talk about badges. So as everyone knows, convention badges can be very cheap, they can be very expensive, they can go somewhere in the middle. And what really matters is how much they cost in total and what you're actually getting out of that badge. Like, for a smaller event, you might not want to pay the premium price if there's not main stage events or big things to go to, or if it ends too early in the day and you're more of a nighttime person. Like, you really have to take into account all these different things. So Sakura Con this year cost me $170 for both me and my husband to go for 3 days. So that is $85 each, going for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now they say that Thursday is technically a convention day. I do not count it as one because there is no actual convention events that are happening on that day. So for 3 days, $85, I felt that this was a bit high. And the reason for that is that over the years, I have seen the price of Sakura Con creep up. Now I know with inflation and the cost of living going up the past couple years, I knew it was going to be expensive, but looking at that $178 price tag, it hurt this year, guys. It hurt with everything else going up, my cost of living, everything, having to pay more for this badge. You know, I had to almost like talk myself into it and go, you know what, you're going to have a fun time. You always have a fun time. It'll be fine. So $170 later, I was ready to go to Sakura Con. Now let's talk about the hotel block. So every year, Sakura Con releases a hotel block. So they specifically have a certain amount of hotel rooms that they reserve at all these hotels close by. Now this block was actually released in January this year, which is kind of late for a hotel block to be released. The reason I say that is because the months leading up to the event, the further that you can get away from the event, you don't need to worry as much about booking it fast. So if they release it only a couple months, so in this case, 4 months before the event happened, there was kind of a bigger rush than usual. And by the time I hopped on to actually book my hotel room, a lot of the hotel rooms were already gone. Like, they weren't available anymore. I actually ended up booking a 2-bedroom because they didn't even have single rooms left. So I ended up booking the Sheraton in January for the event, which was going to be in April. I just felt that like that was really close to the event, and I was kind of like, I don't like that. Whoever was doing the hotel block, I don't know what happened there. I don't know why it was so much later than normal. So that was a little strange. The second thing about the hotel block, which I felt was not good, was the fact that they released the hotel block, all the hotels and everything got booked up, and then over a month later, they released the announcement that they were going to be using the new convention center building, which, as all of you guys know, is not attached to the convention center in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it is an entire block and a half down the street around the corner, which meant that people who had booked their rooms for accessibility to the convention are now just finding out that their hotel room may not be accessible anymore for themselves. I am a fully able-bodied person, but even I was very grumpy by this because I may have chosen a different hotel because that other hotel may have been closer to the new building. So with the announcement that the new building and the old building were both going to be used, there is also the question of, okay, but like, where is each event going to happen? Where are the main stage events going to happen? Where's the concert going to happen? Now, one of the reasons I always book the Sheraton every year is because it's right across the street. I do not feel worried or scared to have to walk across the street to go back to my hotel, even if it's 3 a.m. However, the new building being so far down the street across the way, I don't know if I would say the same thing for walking back at 2 or 3 a.m. Seattle has a pretty bad crime problem going on right now, and we have told visitors so many times, hey, don't do stupid stuff like be out after dark walking around in strange clothing. You're just drawing attention to yourself. Don't take streets that are not the best streets, and a lot of the streets around the convention center are not great to be on after dark. So I just kind of felt like them releasing the hotel block and then announcing the new building later. It was kind of a punch in the face to a lot of the attendees, and I know a lot of other people were very unhappy about it. For me, it was more of just like an annoyance, if anything. So next year, I may decide to book somewhere else besides the Sheraton. Okay, let's go on to the main stage events, which are usually the whole reason you go to conventions. I'm paying $85 a head to get into this event. I want to go to a contest and I want to go to a concert. So Sakura Con has a very unique feature which a lot of people like, which is a nightlife. So not every cosplay convention actually has a nightlife. And by nightlife, I mean main stage events that happen after dark, panels that happen after dark, and other things you can go to if you're a night owl, like going to see anime at like midnight or going to play games with other people at like 1 a.m. This is a really cool feature, and one of the reasons why I really love Sakura Con and why I think it's a great staple convention to go to every year. So first off, we're going to talk about the cosplay contest. So with the schedule being released so close to the convention, many people unfortunately found out the cosplay contest was starting at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, which means that after people have been up late, dancing at the rave, going to the masquerade ball, staying out at the late night panels, they were going to be expected to be at an event at 9 in the morning. I really feel that this is just totally unreasonable for a big convention. I'm sorry, convention organizers, whatever you call them, people who put together the convention. I think on paper it sounds very easy and doable, but I want you to think about this from the convention goer's point of view. I'm going to the convention. I'm wearing KDA All Out Aria on Saturday morning, which means 2 hours beforehand I need to get up and start getting into costume, makeup, wig, and then wander down, go get some breakfast and coffee into me so I'm not going to be super grumpy, and then I will go to an event, which means that on a Saturday morning after staying out late, I'd have to get up at, around 7 a.m. This is me, the average attendee. So does that make it likely I'm going to go to the contest? No. In fact, it makes it highly, highly unlikely that I will go. Even worse, the cosplay contest this year was so full of people trying to sign up that they filled up almost immediately with people actually signing up to compete, which is great. However, the people competing didn't find out till the last minute that it was going to be hosted at such a weird time on a very big day. So imagine now you not only have to get up at like 5 or 6 in the morning to get on your costume, your full makeup, your wig, everything else, get your practicing in, whatever you need, and then show up to the event, but you also are going to be actually competing on stage at 9 in the morning. I think that that is way too much to ask for people who are competing. So I am really happy because this year I truly thought about entering in the KDA All Out Aria. I was really proud of it, and I was like, I wanted to maybe compete for the first time, and at the very last minute I was like, I just don't think I'm ready quite yet. And I'm really glad because that would have really, really put a damper on my weekend this year. I'm really glad I didn't, but I don't know what happened. Organizers, I know a lot of people were saying it had something to do with the concert requirements for later in the day, but I still don't understand like why you would need to have it happen so much earlier in the day, why you couldn't switch days, like why couldn't it happen on Sunday, but like later on Sunday, or like, I don't know. It was very strange. So yeah, was not happy. I did not end up going. I still haven't even watched it on YouTube. I don't know if it's available, but if so, I will be watching it. I do want to support all the attendees and the contestant winners and everything. Like, it's a huge reason why I actually go to Sakura Con, is I want to see people compete. I want to see their costumes. So, okay, moving on to the big event number 2, the big concert. Now, Sakura Con also has 2 concerts that happen each year, typically. A concert on Friday night and a concert on Saturday night. On Friday night, I decided to go to the masquerade ball for the very first time with my husband. I was so excited. I just wanted to like dance and be in like a ball gown and have a great time. We ended up going as Holo and Lawrence in our wedding outfits. Literally my wedding dress that I got married in, that I eloped in, I turned into Holo's wedding dress from Spice and Wolf. So it was really cool to be able to finally reuse my wedding dress, and we had a great time. People recognized us. We danced a whole lot after drinking champagne. It was a good night. So we didn't go to Friday's concert. However, on Saturday, we were so excited to go to the concert because Flo was playing, one of the most well-known bands in like the Weebverse, because of course they sang "We're Fighting Dreamers" in Naruto. So like, even if you haven't watched Naruto, I'm sure you've heard the song. It's such a popular song. So that night we decided to go out to the bar at the Sheraton. We're just having a drink. We're like all relaxing, and we look at the time and we go, oh, okay, it's like 15 minutes before the concert starts. Let's head over. Now, in previous years, you can get in line for the concert early, and that's totally fine. However, you can also just show up at the start of the concert time. It'll be crowded, but you can push your way through the crowd. There's always seats available. Like, it has never been an issue to get in. This year, man, oh man. Okay, now you guys probably, if you attended Sakura Con, you probably already know what I'm going to talk about, and you know how aggravating it was. Getting to the concert, we were actually directed away from the main event hall. And we're like, okay, what's going on? There's like massive lines, there's tons of people, like something's happening up here. And we're getting directed by the Sakura Con volunteers going, no, you guys need to go get in line over there. Now, the weird thing is the line is not pointing anywhere near the main stage. It's actually going across the building to the other side. So we're really confused. No one's saying anything. There's no signs. There's nothing up. So we get in line, we're like, okay, maybe they're having us go through something. Finally see a volunteer walk by. We're like, hey, what's the line for? And they tell us, oh, it's a bag check. They're requiring everyone's bags to be checked this year to be able to get in. And we're like, okay. And then they also tell us, oh, and by the way, there's going to be a second line. So the first line is for bag check, and then the second line is to actually get in. We are so confused at this point because, guys, we get in this line and it is literally one of those massive, massive zigzag lines that has hundreds of people in it. So we're in this line, we're talking to the people in front of us going, hey, how long have you guys been here? What's going on? The people in front of us are like, okay, we've been in line for at least 30 minutes so far. We have no clue what's going on. No one said anything and the line's barely moving. So finally, the line gets close enough up to like another volunteer, who we then talk to that volunteer and go, hey, do you know how long this line's gonna be? We're just a little worried because the concert's starting literally right now. And the guy tells us this line is gonna be at least 30 to 45 minutes longer. So at this point, we're like, well, what do we do? 45 minutes in, that's more than half the concert. The concert's gonna be over. Like, what the hell do we do? There's people coming to get into line that take a look and literally instantly leave. There's people just leaving the line because they're sick of waiting so long. There's people that are like confused and getting into the wrong lines and then getting yelled at. It was such a chaotic mess. It left such a bad taste in my mouth. And eventually after like waiting 10 minutes, we just were like, you know what, this is a waste of our time. We could be doing something else. This is not worth it. So we get out of line and we go play arcade games. We go play DDR, we go play a bunch of random arcade stuff, and then later that night we went to the Zap panel. So I am really glad we didn't stand around and wait in line because, again, it was a huge waste of time. First off, there was no warning that there was going to be a bag check or that we had to go through a security point or whatever. The second thing, which was even weirder, is that they were only doing it for people who were going into the concert, but I guess like if you were in the regular part of the convention, they didn't care. Like, none of it made sense. And the volunteers themselves seemed very confused. Other attendees seemed very confused. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the band themselves required like higher level security, but in that case, you need to give warning to the people that are about to attend this concert. Even if it's just the day before, sending out a push notification on the app saying, warning, there will be a major bag check at the event. We're expecting the event to take longer than usual. Please like make time for this. But no, nothing, not on the Facebook page, not from volunteers, not from signs, like nothing. It was like a huge mystery. So, you know, paying this much for my badge ticket, didn't get to go to the cosplay contest, didn't get to go to the concert. This is starting to kind of look like a waste of money this year, and I am not very happy. So there were a lot of other issues that I do want to just kind of touch base on, like a couple of what I think are really important ones. First off, walking back and forth. I walked more at this convention than I have ever walked at any previous convention. My feet hurt, my legs hurt, I was exhausted, and it also really altered how I went to the convention during the day because it was such a long way back to the hotel from the newer building. We were kind of like, should we go back? Should we just wait here? A lot of times we ended up sitting on the floor because we didn't necessarily want to go all the way back, which kind of left us tired and a little bit grumpy. We chose to skip panels because we didn't want to have to walk, in between the buildings, like go one panel to the next panel. We would just choose whichever building we were currently in. Oh my gosh, it was weird. It was very, very strange. Signage between the new and old buildings was also just non-existent. So a lot of times people were stopping us to ask, hey, do you guys know where this new building is? Hey, do you know how to get to this street? Hey, do you know how to get here? Like, everyone seemed very lost, very confused. Luckily for me and my husband, we had been there in advance. So during Emerald City Comic Con, they used the new building and we were able to go in there, look around, get a feel for it, and also see where it was in comparison to the old building. So we had like a little bit of prep time for this. But people who are from out of town or who hadn't been, to the new building, it was just very confusing. You have to have signs. You have to have arrows. You have to have volunteers out at the sidewalk helping people if you're going to do something like this. You can't just decide to use a completely new building, a block and a half down, and just expect people to know how to get to it, especially if they have never been to Sakura Con or if they have always been there but they have no clue how to get around that side. It's just common courtesy and common knowledge. Really weird. So yeah, a lot of people I heard had to choose between which events they wanted to go to and which building they wanted to be in. Some people were like, I'm only going to the old building. That's it. I'm not going to the new one. Some people were like, I'm only going to go to the new building, but on Saturday, and then I'm going to go back to the old building Sunday because I don't want to have to go back and forth 10,000 times. Even at the old building, I knew I would walk so much. So now having to walk in between the buildings and then up tons of escalators and then down tons of escalators. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is that many disabled people were not happy about this year at all because Sakura Con has always branded itself a very inclusive event. No matter what your ability to physically get there and get around, they will accommodate you and make you feel welcome, which is kind of like a slap in the face this year, considering that they completely separated the convention into these two buildings that are very far apart. And for people who have accessibility issues, it was a major, major issue to get back and forth so much. And I think many of them felt very betrayed by this convention that has always helped and protected them. Suddenly the convention's like, no, we're changing things, get over it, figure out a way to get there on your own. I also heard a lot of people complaining afterwards about that the elevators that are in the newer building were not actually being safeguarded. So typically you would have some sort of staff member near the elevators to help, accessibility needing people in and out and making sure the people using the elevators are actually, need them, not just random people who are being lazy. But there was no staff members at the newer building. So many people were very frustrated that just random people were using the elevators for funsies, and then people who actually needed them for, ability help to get up to the other floors were having to wait longer than usual. We're having to let all these random people go in front of them that obviously didn't need it. It was a weird situation. So Sakura Con, do better. I know you can do better. Okay. The other thing that I really feel I should touch base on, and I feel really weird talking about it, I'm not gonna lie. I need some water to talk about this. You can hear it in my voice that I'm just done. You guys, the mask requirement. I know we have just been through a massive pandemic that still continues to go on and on. There is no major cure. There is nothing we can possibly do at this point except try to stay healthy, be safe, wash our hands, stay home if we feel sick. But life continues to go on and people continue to go to conventions. Now, earlier this year, Emerald City was hosted and did not require masks. They said, if you'd like to wear a mask, we really invite you to. If you need to wear one, yes, please, but they are not an actual requirement, which kind of makes sense because the mask requirement has literally been dropped everywhere at this point. You don't have to wear it in public businesses. You don't have to wear it out at restaurants, like nothing. Even now, the hospitals and medical facilities legally aren't required to anymore, although many of them still do. But during Sakura Con, they announced that they were going to be requiring full masking, which was very odd considering typically Sakura Con will follow in Emerald City's footsteps. So it was weird to be at a convention like, a month before Sakura Con happened and not have to wear a mask, and then a month later I'm back there again, but I do have to wear a mask, and a lot of people were very unhappy about it because one of the things about having to wear a mask also meant that you were not allowed to wear anything that covered your face or your head because then they couldn't see if the mask was being worn properly. So like no Spider-Man, no Mandalorian, no this, no that. Like there were so many rules that go into this. I understand from Sakura Con's perspective, I'm sure that they want to protect people as much as possible. They want to keep everyone safe. They do want to keep it inclusive so that it, includes all people, no matter your physical or health conditions. But at the same time, it felt very, very weird to walk into a convention fully masking, only to walk out and go into a restaurant 2 minutes later and no one's wearing a mask and there's just as many crowds in there. Like something just felt very off about that. And I do think that if someone wants to wear a mask, they will, if they feel safe, if they need to do that for themselves. But for the rest of everyone, I do feel like if we have gotten to this point, it's probably a good idea to lift a mandate because I know many people who ended up not going because they were so frustrated by this rule and they were kind of feeling like Sakura Con was hanging on to it a little too long, especially with Emerald City deciding to do this in a completely different way. So, yeah, it seemed odd. I know many people didn't go because of this reason, which leads me into my next very strange thing, which was kind of a lack of cosplayers this year. So I noticed that there were so many fandoms that were just not at the convention. So being a League of Legends character, when I went as KDA All Out Ahri, I was so excited because there was a League of Legends meetup on Saturday. I was like really excited, really wanting to get pictures with people, wanting to interact with people. I have felt the need for social interaction after these years in COVID. But I get to the meetup and there's arcane people there and there is no League people. There was 2 other KDA members. There was an Akali and I don't remember who the other one was, but there was 2 of them there that I did take pictures with, and we were all talking about how weird it was that we had not seen a single other League person all weekend. And this was on Saturday afternoon, evening. I don't know if it was the mask mandate making people leave behind cosplays at home. I don't know if those cosplayers just decided not to go that year. I just noticed there was just a lot less cosplay than normal. And it was weird. I don't know if it's because of the new building. I don't know if it's because the hotel block was really strange. The mask requirement was thrown on last minute. Like all this stuff kind of led to a very unusual year. And although I had a really fun time cosplaying, it was great. I got a lot of pictures. I got to talk to a lot of people. It was kind of sad because again, I really like social interactions with people who are cosplaying from the same universe as you. It's just really cool to like connect on your interests. So I felt that that was severely lacking. Now that we've talked about bad stuff, I am going to talk about a couple good things that I did like about the convention. I don't think this year was a complete bust. So the first thing, Artist Alley was held in its own building. So the commercial shopping was held in the new building, and the artist alley was held in the old building in the entire shopping area. It was massive, and I spent way more money than I was planning to. It was awesome. I had such a fun time. I love this too because it was like, you know, having this much area lets more artists go and be able to experience vending at this event. I even did like a couple treasure hunt sort of things between artists who I normally buy from. One of them had started like a punch card, and if you got 8 punches from these other booths, you got a free prize. And I thought that was so awesome, especially that they were all able to get in. There was so much shopping that we did the commercial shopping one day and the artist alley a different day just because we couldn't walk that much. It was crazy. The second thing that I did really like about this year was the fact that the new building has this area that's like giant wooden steps. That's the only way I know how to describe it. And they are awesome and so convenient because, guys, one thing that the old convention center was always lacking was places to just publicly sit and hang out and eat a snack and have a drink that was like out of the way of everyone walking around. So this was really great because being in between panels, being at like more late night events, we actually bought a ton of snacks from the bodega down the road, and we just brought them in shopping bags and sat on the steps and ate snacks for like an hour in between events. I was able to put my feet up. They even had like pillow, like cushions out you could sit on. And it was great because there was other people over there. The noise was reduced. It's kind of like dimmer lighting so you could actually relax. I saw people taking naps up there, but yeah, we definitely needed it. So good job about that. Really great to have relaxing areas. And the last amazing thing about this year's Sakura Con is I was able to make it into both of my favorite panels, which was Zap's Spaceship of Love and Zap's Love Line, which both are just freaking hilarious panels. I thought they did such a great job this year. It was very full, very busy. Everyone was laughing so much. The first panel I went to, I think it was on Friday night, I laughed so hard I definitely cried, and that's always, you know, a really good sign. So this is where I end today's video. What did you guys think about Sakura Con? Did you have a good experience or bad experience? Did you notice any of these things I'm talking about? Sakura Con, I'm going to give you one more chance next year because I really do love you, but get your crap together. Figure out the organization, figure out the signage, and if you're going to include a massive new building, maybe don't stretch things out so far that you have to walk 1,000,000 steps a day because, man, oh man, in heels, it is not fun. I will say, guess who broke a toenail this year? Again, if you remember my 2018 video where I broke a toenail in a heel, it happened again this year. Not fun. So anyways, I hope you guys come back to watch more of my videos. We're going to be starting up the controversial cosplay series again. I'm really excited because I have a lot of really fun topics to bring up that are super spicy and super kind of insane in our little world here. So anyways, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good day. Get your summer gear on. I will see you at the beach. Bye, guys.